Welcome to episode 441 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent here as always. This week's a great one. Mary Mosteller, the managing director of the Taylor Foundation, is joining me on this episode of the podcast. We're going to talk all about the Taylor Foundation, what its purpose is, what it does, why Corey Taylor started this foundation, his involvement with it, and of course Mary's involvement with this as well. All kinds of great stuff to talk to Mary about. But before I jump into that, I need to let you know who sponsors this podcast, and that would be DEB Concerts, a concert promoter based right here in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area that has brought tons of great concerts to the downtown Tulsa area. They also book the Roadhouse stage at Rocklahoma every year. This year was no different, and I'm sure that 2026 will be no different as well. The Cancer Sucks benefit concert that happens every year at the Canes Ballroom is also sponsored by DEB Concerts that just happened this past weekend with Josie Scott of Saliva and Aranda. DEB Concerts is always bringing great stuff to the area, so give them a follow on the socials, and of course, we let you know right here when new stuff is happening as well. So hit them up at debconcerts.com and let them know you heard about them right here. We've also got Sunset Tattoo, tattoo shop located in Midtown Tulsa. Their tattoos are done good and proper. They're state licensed. 30 plus years of experience from Jake Thompson and his crew over there at Sunset Tattoo. Native American owned. Female artist on staff full time. They accept walk-ins. So give them a call or walk in or shoot them a message, whatever it is you need to do to talk about what work you're looking to have done. They can help you with real quick things if you're doing a walk-in, and of course they can sit down with you to have a consultation on whatever it is you've got there in your head running around. If you need help putting it together, they of course can help you with that. Hit up their socials, Sunset Tattoo Tulsa on both Facebook and Instagram. There's tons of photos on there. You can see all their work throughout the years. I personally had work done by Jake more than once, and I'm very happy with it, and I know that I will have more done in the future. I know many other people that have as well. In fact, I'm sure many bands that you love, some of those band members have had work done by Jake as well, because he's tattooed a lot of touring musicians throughout his time. So hit up Sunset Tattoo and let them know you heard about them right here on Thunder Underground. All right, so Thanksgiving was last week. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break, whatever it is. However it went for you, I hope it all went great. This is a good, I think, episode to put out around this time. You know, there's a lot of good info in here from Mary. There's a lot of good background in here from Mary. You know, to learn about, a great cause. Corey Taylor started this organization, the Taylor Foundation, in 2022. He has family history with war veterans that have dealt with PTSD. In fact, his grandparents is where the name of this foundation comes from. In fact, Mary's going to tell us all about that coming up here in just a bit as well. Going to talk to Mary about her involvement, how she came to be a part of this, and of course, some of her personal side, whether it be her work with the organization or just as a fan of music. Personally, I got the opportunity to speak with Mary back in September at Louder Than Life, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. The Taylor Foundation works hand in hand with DWP, Danny Wimmer, and all their festivals, because obviously that's a great outlet for the Taylor Foundation to get their name out there, get the word out on what they do, because you've got a built-in audience of people that would be captive enough to listen at least, right? Because you've got tons of Corey Taylor fans at all DWP events, whether Slipknot or Stone Sour or Corey Taylor solo is playing. The man has a large grasp on the attention of the heavy music world, right? Because he has been in one of the largest metal bands over the past 25 years in Slipknot. So DWP is like the perfect outlet, kind of like we talk about for this organization, whether Slipknot is playing or not, to be able to get their word out about what they do. And that is something that you can easily find out by going to wearettf.org. And of course, by continuing to listen to this podcast here, when we're going to talk to Mary about it all as well. Like I said, I got the chance to talk to her at Louder Than Life. That's where I first met her. A shout out to a friend of mine, Chris Kopp, who I've known for many years through another music festival through Rocklahoma, here in my home base of Oklahoma. Going way back into at least probably a decade that I had met Chris out there. So a while back when he knew that I was also going to be at Louder Than Life working, he was going out there to attend it. And he had mentioned that, hey, if you get out here, I think that you should meet Mary of the Taylor Foundation. She would probably be a cool guest for your podcast. And I thought that was a really cool idea because, especially in these situations where the podcast is focused on, my podcast is focused on music, hard rock and metal for the most part. So, of course, the majority of the time, the guests are going to be musicians in a band. So it's always cool, whenever throughout the years I've had an opportunity to have someone on, that whether they be on the producer side of things, they're an author, a model, or in this case, a managing director of a nonprofit organization. So it's really cool, to get insights into other areas. And while this does play into the hard rock and metal thing because of the man whose face runs along with this organization, it obviously is way bigger than music. Just people's lives in general, of course, is way bigger than talking about music. So it's cool to be able to talk about the ways that this organization is helping first responders, military, active military, military veterans, and everything in between when it comes to dealing with PTSD, mental health, suicide. Mary's going to talk in great detail about several of these things. So rather than me kind of rambling about it, let's jump into this and hear what Mary Mosteller of the Taylor Foundation has to say.
I heard Warped Tour was awesome. I knew quite a few people that went and had a good time.
Yeah, I did the one in Orlando. I didn't do the earlier ones this year, but it was pretty fun. I hadn't been to a Warped Tour since like 1997.
Right? Yeah, I've never went. So.
Quite a different now that it's just a standalone festival, but it's still got that cool kind of, 90s punk rock vibe to it.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful that you've reached out.
Yeah, glad we got the chance to do this.
What's up? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, we can just kind of, jump into the main subject at hand, which is the Taylor Foundation. Obviously, we can look online and see that, it helps first responders, veterans, military, active military, but give your description as being someone entrenched in it. What does the Taylor Foundation do and what does it mean?
Yeah, definitely go to the website, www.wearettf.org. But the Taylor Foundation is all about uplifting, amplifying local organizations around the country that are doing really impactful work in the veteran, first responder, law enforcement, dispatch kind of communities and their families who are people who are living with PTSD. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel and start our own program. Corey Taylor is not a social worker, neither am I. But there's lots of really amazing organizations all around the country, boots on the ground, that are really doing great stuff. And if we can leverage his influence, his voice to help get them more attention and help get them funding and different things like that, and getting people to reach out for help through them, then that we feel that that's a good way to go and a good way to use his time and make a difference. And it's been phenomenal.
So mainly it's like a kind of a resource that will point people into the right direction in their local community is what you mean?
Yeah. There's thousands of organizations and I'm looking for new ones every single day. We're adding to the list, but it started out when Corey first came, we were going to open the charity. It's kind of like, what do we do? And at the time he was touring with Slipknot. So we kind of said, okay, give me the cities that you're going to. And, I'll research those cities, find these organizations, kind of interview them, make sure that, they're on the up and up and we're aligned with mission and all that. And we'd coordinate a visit so Corey could go spending a couple hours with them. He'd teach guitar and he'd done paint classes. He's just hung out and just brainstormed with veterans, just hang out and bullshit for a couple hours. And then they get to go to the show. And that was kind of how we would build the network of people that we connected with. And yeah, so if you go to our website, you can click on your state, and there's different resources in every state of groups that we're aware of that we want to help get that word out, and trying to find more every day. Because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're doing really great work and making a difference without the red tape and all the stuff that you get from that more higher level
Right.
organizations,
Say someone reached out tomorrow, what would your first step be? Would you guys kind of talk to them for a bit to find out what they're going through or whatever before you kind of point them in the right direction?
That's a great question, Trent, and I'll say this. We typically just send people to the website. I'm the only employee, so it's Corey as the founder. I'm an employee. We've got an admin group that does like the financials and the banking. And then everybody else are volunteers. So what I don't want to do, and I hate to say this out loud, but I think it's the right answer, is I don't want if somebody's in crisis, they need to contact somebody local, because I don't want to, we're just not set up for that. So typically we'll send somebody to the website. I will say I had somebody reach out like a month ago, and I do the social media, and we're not checking Messenger every 20 minutes. Like, we're just not. And somebody had reached out, and then they had sent a few hours later another message. So I could just feel that he needed to talk to somebody. So, I reached out, I messaged him and was like, what's going on? And if you're in a crisis, like what I just said, you need to call somebody local. And he was very adamant. He wasn't calling a hotline or anything like that, because he didn't want the cops to come to his house. So I'm like, well, what can I do in this moment? Because me as a human, not me as what the foundation does, but me as a human, I can't leave this guy like hanging. It's just not the right thing to do.
Right.
If I can get you on the phone with a peer, with another vet, will you talk to him? And he's thought about it, and he's like, yeah, I will. So I've got a few guys of our volunteers that I know what to say. They've got the training. They can do this, and they've got that camaraderie that I don't have. I messaged both of them, and within 5 minutes I had a response. I had this guy talking to somebody like at 9:00 on a Saturday morning. They talked for a couple hours, and then I've checked in and he's okay, so I don't want to encourage people to send us a message in crisis so much, because I would be heartbroken. It would crush me if we missed that message. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in that moment of something happening and you're there and you're able to catch it and hold space for it and do something, we are 100% committed to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I care very deeply. We both do. We all do,
Say when people do reach out and you point them in the right direction, do you guys kind of keep tabs on those people? Check back in with them, or hope that they check back in with you down the line?
Yeah. I'll tell you, that's one of the greatest things for me with the music festivals. So we do all the Danny Wimmer music festivals. They're phenomenal to work with. And we're like this great big trauma spot in a great big music festival. And you wonder, how are people going to receive us? And I can say, like, when the gates open at 11, and by 11:15, I've got 30 people there, like packed, waiting to come in to give us updates, for the guy that comes back the next year. I met this guy at Rockville. I called him Steve forever, for like 2 years. I called this dude Steve. If I ever saw somebody that I thought was going to blow their head off, it was this guy. Like, so drunk, so couldn't even speak, just sobbing. And I was like, oof, and it's Rockville, and it's like the festival of pure debauchery, like everybody, what do you do? And he came back the next year and was like, I've been thinking about the Taylor Foundation all year. I got sober. I got this dog, and get the service dog, and I'm going back to school. And it was like, oh my God. And he's like, all because you guys saw me, and we saw this, and we love Corey, and it's a hope. And then the next year he came back, and he came back this year, and he brought kids. He ended up adopting these children. I found out that his name is not Steve. His name's Paul. The dog that I'd been talking about for 2 years, I kept calling Marge, was named Paladin. I had all the characters wrong, but I had the story right, but
Right.
people like that are so special because they come back and they want to give the updates. I did meet a guy at Louder Than Life, first festival we ever did, and 7 months later he hung himself, and his name, Frank Nato, and he's been very special to us. We've carried a picture of him in our booth every festival we go to. I don't want more Franks on my signs.
Right.
So even if the ones that don't make it, they're honored and they're remembered, and it just gives us more purpose and reason to be where we are and do what we do. It's I
Like you
think we can
guys
all
have a way
contribute.
to honor those people.
Yeah, we've got this. I don't know. Well, you can't see it on here, but I've got this giant ribbon board. We've got 4,000 ribbons of names of people who aren't alive anymore that we've taken to every show. And I tell people, this lives in my house, and it's like right here, it lives in my house. And it's like 4 feet tall, long, and there's so much love on there. People were so cared for, and it helps keep them alive in the music community. It helps keep their legacy there, and it's a reminder that it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And it's an honor. It's an honor that people share their people with us.
So are those all 4,000 people, or people that people have spoke to you about, like at music festivals, or people that have actually you've spoken to and we've lost since, or both?
This goes to every festival we go to.
Okay.
So it's put out for anybody that comes, that they can put
Oh, gotcha.
a ribbon of the name of somebody that they know. That majority of them are suicides. There's some overdoses. Not gonna lie, there's probably like a 97-year-old grandfather with cancer, but the majority of the people on here are suicides, and many of them are veterans or first responders.
Okay.
But trauma is universal, so I would never want to tell somebody, no, you can't put that on there.
Right.
But and I've met people, if you've got somebody that you want to put on there, I'll write it on there when we get off and hang it and send you a picture of it. I've done that a lot of times, just in conversations or Zooms with people, and they share a person, and then I'll add them if you want them on there.
Okay. Very cool. Something I was kind of wondering about, I don't know if this is kind of a broad question, but like, active military or first responders or dispatchers that are active and aren't suffering from PTSD, is there resources out there for them to kind of maintain that? Or, I mean, I know that's all a personal thing for each person, but to try to maintain not ever getting to that point, or is that even, am I asking that right?
No, I think I hear what you're asking. So if somebody's not in a crisis, but they want to find some kind of connection to keep their mental health
Correct.
stable.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of things in whether it's music or being outside or exercise, or there's so many different kinds of groups. And I think that's what's great about a lot of the organizations that we lift up, is it's not even so much it's not like typical therapy, like Veterans Club. I got this shirt on. They're always our partner at Louder Than Life. Down in Louisville, Kentucky, they've got one of the best equine therapy programs in the country, with horses. And they do this really cool thing called like Operation Jeep Build. And so they get all the parts to a Jeep, and then they bring all the vets together, and they build the fucking Jeep. And at the end, they go mudding with it. And people don't think like, well, that's like therapy for this, or that's good for my mental health. But think about it, like it totally is, like those out of the box things that actually work and bring you together. I think a lot of people, struggle with reason and purpose. What is my reason? What's my purpose? They train, and even in first responders and law enforcement, you're trained to do this. This is your mission. And then you come back and nobody tells you what the next mission is or how to do the next mission. And you're just on your own to figure it out. And then what is my personal mission, and how do I find that reason and purpose, and why do I get up with my, boots on the ground? And it's interesting. There was a Netflix, it's out right now. It's called In Waves and War. It's about PTSD with Navy SEALs. It's fascinating. Actually, I know somebody that worked on it, but it's with a group called Vets out west, and fascinating. I ramble, Trent. Tell me to stop talking anytime.
No, That's what I hope people do, because sometimes I get on a podcast and I ask a question, they give me a 30-second answer, run through questions too quick, you know?
Well, I just want to make sure I'm answering what you're asking too, because I just go on tangents.
Right.
Um,
I mean, you kind of answered it already in a way, but like when someone, a celebrity, is the face of a foundation or a charity, you know, sometimes they're super involved, sometimes they're just the face of it. Like, how involved is Corey? I mean, you kind of spoke to that with the beginnings of this, but is he still pretty involved with you in
he
running this?
is,
Or,
and I'm glad that you asked that the way you did, because you know, how did I get to work? Like, how do you get to work with Corey Taylor? You know, I hear that all the time, and it's, um, I've done nonprofit like consulting and work for celebrities for several years, and worked with many, and seen a lot in the space. And there are a lot who are all about red carpet philanthropy. Look at me. I just served all this food, but you weren't there cooking it. You yelled at everybody walking in the door. This is not Corey Taylor, you know, but other people that aren't in it for the right reasons. They want to look good. And I can say with every ounce of my being, Corey Taylor is one of the most genuine, sincere, committed, all in human beings I've ever met. Like I've seen him cry about this. Um, he just emailed me yesterday. We talk regularly. He really wants to make a difference. You know, when I text him, whether he's on tour or not, I get an answer within an hour, usually within 10 minutes. I don't have to go through somebody else. It's direct. What do you need? I've reached out and been like, you know, time's just tough right now. I think we need like a motivational video, and I'll have it in 10 minutes. And I message him before like 8 a.m. his time, because I want to try to get him before the squirrel gets him. You know what I mean? Like, once your day is going, you're done. You're not going to catch him. But if I get him early, he he's given he remembers people. We met this guy, Paul, in Johnstown, PA, veteran leadership program. Older, I don't want to say older guy, he's not that much older than me, but I'm old. He used to be a homeless drug addict in California and made his way across country and got some issues, but he got straightened out, and he just got 100% disability. And you know, Corey and him were talking. It was like a group setting, and Corey kind of made a joke like, oh, he wanted us to get challenge coins. And Corey's like, well, we'll think about it. But if we do, we're going to put your face on it.
yeah.
Paul like got me on Messenger, and he still checks in, and he had some health issues and some things go on. And I mentioned to Corey, I was like, oh, Paul called, and he knows exactly who I'm talking about, you know, and he does this, and he can look at pictures and he'll tell you what group it's from. He knows. We've got, I don't know if you can see this, but this is at Louder Than Life last year. We usually do like go backstage. I bring people back, and he'll get to meet different veterans or things like that. But this is a group of our volunteers that paid money out of their own pocket to come to the festival and volunteer their time with us. And Corey spent 2 hours with them. Nobody at the festival had any idea, but we're all backstage, back behind our booth at Louder Than Life, just hanging out, like brainstorming. What can we do? How can we make this better? What kind of things should we focus on? Like he gives so many fucks. He gives so many. Like he really is all in for all the right reasons. He is.
Well, especially bringing in volunteers to that kind of conversation, you know, it doesn't seem normal to me, at least. So that's very cool to hear.
It is. And, you know, he's a regular human being just like you and I. You know, I think I told you when I met you, I worked for his manager first. He's like, Corey Taylor wants to start a charity. I'm like, who's Corey Taylor? Like, I had to Google it. I'm like, who? Okay. You know, I didn't come into this like fangirl, so I would talk to him just like I talked to you. And it's just like we're talking, you know. I mean, there's some kind of rock star things, but not at all. Like, he's so down to earth. We all shit in the same toilet, you know. He's the most down to earth person you'll ever meet. He's like your cousin from Iowa.
Right.
If I had one, but I don't.
You kind of answered it, but one of my questions was like, how did you end up in this realm? working with Corey Taylor, you said like the connection was through Corey's manager. You worked with,
Yeah,
okay,
so like I said, I do a lot of nonprofit work for celebrities, people of influence, and I'd worked with his manager who has a charity called Rock Against Racism, which is like an old thing back from the 70s, stemming from Eric Clapton, and that transitioned, and now he has it, and it's really cool. And yeah, it was through like a partnership group of things, and they reached out and said, "Hey, Corey's been wanting to do this for a while. I trust you. I'm going to hook you up with him." And we got on Zoom. We talked for a bit. 2 weeks later, I was meeting him at outside of Penn State and on the tour bus and mapping out what are we going to do, And it was we did our COVID. It was during COVID. We did our it was 2022. But we did COVID nasal swabs together. That's how I first we had talked on Zoom a couple times. And then when I met him in person the first time, like him and his security, and we're at the entrance coming in, and we're sitting there with our Q-tips. We hugged, and then it was like, let's do nasal swab. I mean, in that moment, you just know, like, okay,
yeah.
this is gonna be cool,
At
Not
least
that the
it's always
nasal
easy
swab
to
was
remember
cool
the year you
at
met that
all.
way.
But yeah, he is a nut for all the right reasons, and he doesn't want it to be focused about him. Like the Taylor Foundation, people think, oh, that's Corey Taylor's charity. And he did found it. He's the founder of it, but it's actually named after his grandparents, Claire and Thelma Taylor, because they're the inspiration for it. So,
Okay.
it's not an ego move. It's a love move for his grandparents and the legacy of their family. And I don't know where I was going with that. So I'll just end stop.
Was it like dedicated to his grandparents out of love, or was it because they suffered in the ways that
so
this organization helps? Or
So Corey's grandfather was a Korean War veteran.
okay,
I believe he was in the army, and came back, had a lot of, like, what's what they call back then, battle fatigue and alcoholism. Ended up divorcing his grandmother. They split, and back then that wasn't something that happened. I mean, women couldn't even have credit cards, until the 80s. So his grandfather became like homeless, living out of basements. And I think as Corey aged, he kind of saw how that influenced their whole family dynamic. And his grandma was his most stable person in his life. Like, she's the one. Um, and just loved her, and just saw how that kind of impacted. And his cousins had been in, and just wondered, like, man, if we could have identified this, talked about it, asked for help, said there's something going on, how could everything have been different? And his cousins were in the military. He's got a lot of relatives that were military focused. And I think just so many people over the years have just said to him, particularly military veterans, first responders, law enforcement, your music saved my life. It's like, no, you as a fan saved my life. And they're like, no, really. And they do that whole little thing. But people listen when he talks. I don't really understand it. But they do, and that's a great opportunity to use that voice for good.
yeah.
You know,
Well, from your standpoint, does this touch you in a personal way? I mean, have you dealt with family or friends close to you dealing with PTSD or suicide or depression?
yeah. Well, I think, Trent, I've always just had a nonprofit-y kind of empathy heart. Um, I have family that are military. My ex-husband's a Marine. Both grandfathers were in Vietnam. I mean, I've been surrounded by it. I did not serve, um, so I don't have that lived experience for sure. But I'm always I worked in hospice for many years, so I have an ability to connect with people, and I love seeing good people do good things. And like I had mentioned earlier, that Frank, I think he was the moment for me. And of course, I could list tons of people that have committed suicide that I know throughout life. Some people very close to me after, since I've been working here. Um, but it's the people like Frank. It's the people that I've met you, and then I find out you're not coming back.
Yeah.
It's the guy. I think it was Ed Inc. this summer that said to me, when I hung myself, like and this guy's talking, when I hung myself, My wife was in the room next door and heard my feet kick the wall and came in time to let me down. Um, it's the first responder that said, this is the same day. I've been to 17 pediatric suicides because I'm the one they have to call to cut them down. And I can't go home and tell my wife about it because it kills the mood. So I'm going to tell you, it's the honor that so many people trust us, trust me with the most vulnerable, traumatic things they've ever lived through. And they walk out of there remembering that they're a survivor. That to me is the connection. That's the why. It's having Paul or Steve, whatever his name is, and there's like 50 of them at least. There's more. There's so many more than that. They're the win. People say you're so lucky to get to work with Corey Taylor. And I'm like, and I am. I get to go all over the place. I get to do so many cool things. I get to be part of something like a ripple effect that's just incredible. But Corey Taylor isn't the win.
Yeah.
And Corey Taylor isn't the charity. It's not about you, Corey. And it's not, it's about the people that, for whatever reason, feel that connection and love, and we see you and they see us. And it's just, I don't want to get woo-woo on you, Trent, but it's a beautiful thing. I do this for nothing because it's worth it. It's important.
Obviously, like you said, you have an empathetic heart, and it's like an honor for people to share with you. But on your personal standpoint, is it not hard to
it's fucking horrible.
Mentally to
I come home
hear
from
those
a 4-day
stories 2 or 3 times?
and I lay in bed in the fetal position for 2 days,
Okay.
cannot move. I'm not sobbing. I'm just trying to process.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Those 2 stories are just 2 of 100 I'll hear in a day, and you hear them every single day,
Right.
But how do you compartment? I've been really working on how can I become a mirror and not a sponge? How can I see you and provide the space, but not absorb it all in? Or if I do absorb it in, I need to literally tell myself, let it out, let it go, because I can't hold it forever. It's hard. It is hard. It is hard. There's some, I've heard stories of murders and rape, and a woman who was locked in the closet for 3 days while she's serving in our military, getting raped and beaten. She was it was like a custodial closet, and somebody opened the door by mistake and found her. And somebody in her area had reported her missing and reported it to her supervisor, but he was the one that was raping her. So he didn't do anything. Yeah. And she's like, they opened the door and I'm laying there in my own pile of piss and vomit and blood. And I'm like, I'm going to live. And then she goes to college and she becomes that very specific. And I don't want to call it the wrong strain of what it is, but she went specifically into that kind of trauma, counseling therapy as her career.
Wow.
It's just it's heavy stuff. Man, there's a lot of fucking strong and resilient people out there. And there's a lot of people that aren't okay, there's a lot of people that aren't okay yet. They choose to continue to go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Just from talking to people on a very limited basis, I can't imagine doing that multiple times a day, and just how you as a person just manage to keep doing it. So, props to you for that, for sure.
Well, we've got a great team, if you've ever been, Murph and Lucas and Wade and Marissa, and we've got such a good team, and we all kind of know, and you can take a break out back, or we've got each other, and it's great. And Corey checks in, every festival, how's it going? Send pics, what's going on, so it's a rush for all those sad moments, as above, so below. There's so many awesome moments of great things that people come and share, or connections made. And um, balance, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Music festivals are, a perfect place for this organization to be set up, because Danny Wimmer festivals, I mean, Corey Taylor is one of the biggest names in the world of, heavy music. But I saw on your website that you guys are expanding next year into other avenues. So speak a little bit about, what other kind of events you guys are going to be focusing on.
Yeah, great. Thank you for doing your homework and great job. We love Danny Wimmer Presents. We love DWP. I think they're the best in the business for a reason. They're phenomenal to work with, and we're going to be at all. Our intention is to be at all DWP metal festivals next year, including Aftershock, which we've never been to. So super excited about that. Actually, you said is Corey involved? So I'm on the East Coast, so part of my hesitation has been how am I going to get everything to California? Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be expensive. And I like to save money because I want the money to go where it needs to go. And now Corey's offered that we can store some stuff at his house because he's West Coast. So, all right, we're coming to Aftershock now. So he's even given up storage, which is great. So we're going to be at all of those. Welcome to Rockville, Sonic, Louder, Inc., Aftershock. Super excited. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it yet, but we're gonna be on a Shiprocked
Oh, wow.
cruise from Miami to the Bahamas in January. I'm gonna set up with the music experience. That's how and Squiggy and those guys always at the that event at the festivals. We got some really cool, impactful um, exhibit stuff and activities and things happening. And we're Here's the thing about the music festival, like it is a perfect fit and music heals and there's a lot of music fans there, but music festivals aren't cheap, and so there's only a certain kind of, not everybody can access them.
Right.
So if we were only at music festivals, I think we were doing a disservice to so many else that need help, but just don't come there. So we're going to be doing a lot of conventions and conferences. We're going to be at SHOT Show in Vegas the week before the cruise, um, which is huge for like the law enforcement community, which is also somebody, that we're very much want to help and support. And there's not a lot of resources out. Well, there are. There's more than there were. So super excited to be there. They get like 60,000 people attend, and that's all kind of our target demo, like everybody that, like, you have to have a badge to be able to come in there. So we know that everybody that we're going to see is going to have a connection to this somehow, the chance is great. And looking for more of those opportunities, different conventions and conferences. We've got things in the works. A couple other festivals we've reached out to, kind of waiting on, callbacks and that kind of stuff. But we want to get out, definitely expand off the East Coast more, get out there to the West Coast and as a physical presence. And we've got a couple things up our sleeve for 2027 that we're kind of keeping under wraps at the moment, but all good things on the way. And it's interesting because, like I said, when we first started, it was kind of where's Corey on tour, and then we set up things where he is. But he's not touring next year. There's no shows, so then it kind of, we have to retweak. Okay, how do we show up, and in what ways can we show up and still find these organizations and partner with them? And that's conversations we've been having with Corey. It's like, what's going to make you feel good, and that intrinsic reward. Do you want to film, like, he has no problem filming PSAs or doing some kind of a shout out for them, call to action kind of things, but they're easy lifts to do. Like, how can he still show up although he's not touring? And I was fascinated. This summer we did, well, this whole year he only played Inc. and we did the other three fests, and he didn't play. And I wondered, how's this going to go? Because he's not here. And honestly, we had, all the volunteers agreed, we had better, I don't want to say better, but the quality of the conversations were different. I think the people that came to see us they came to see us because what they saw attracted them as, this is my place for me. I'm a veteran. I'm connected to this. I'm a firefighter. I'm a dispatch. Like, what's going on? PTSD. What's going on here? And it's not just those groups that have PTSD. It's universal. So anybody with any kind of trauma is drawn in automatically. Where when he is playing, then you get the whole run in of all the Corey Taylor boners, Corey coming, who's it gonna be here? Like and God love them, and you love them, like they're fun. They're just I don't blame them, and it's great, and some of them I just adore them, but it's when he's not playing, some of that noise goes away, so that our place becomes even more kind of sacred in a way,
right.
because the right people are in the right places for the right reasons at the right moment, and it's
Right.
just right. I just made that up. I should write the song. Just kidding. No, I shouldn't.
So I mean, would that make it hard if you went on tour when Slipknot was doing a tour and set up at every single show? You're just inundated with fans, but at the same time, maybe that's better than a festival that Slipknot's playing because everybody there knows or probably knows what the Taylor Foundation is and knows that Corey's probably not hanging out in that booth while he's on tour.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
didn't
if
really have
there's
a
ever
question. I guess I was just
opportunities,
talking. Sorry.
yeah, I want to do all the opportunities, and Corey's, he bought Famous Monsters magazine. So he does all those kind of tours and the Comic-Con kind of things. And
Yeah.
do you want us to come on? Do you want us to come do that? We haven't done that yet. And I don't know if we will, but, it's, yeah. And I'm on the road to 50. I mean, I think you're a tour guy, right? I don't know if my body could do it. I give anybody who's ever done like real touring
Yeah.
a lot of credit.
Oh, yeah. And it's
4 days
just,
kicks my ass.
yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine doing it for 3 years.
Yeah. Kind of shifting a little bit. When I spoke to you in Louisville, I remember you saying that you didn't really listen to heavy music prior to this, but is this kind of being around it at music festivals and obviously knowing who you're working with and your foundation, has it kind of pushed you in that direction at all? Or
Um, yes and no. Yes. Like, again, I mean, I had heard of Slipknot, didn't really know who they were. I definitely can say I'm a Slipknot fan, also Stone Sour, like I'm big into that. And growing up, I was into like metal and stuff. I just like by the time, like from 96 on, I kind of missed anything kind of coming new. And I'm trying to get more open to it. But here's the thing, Trent, like, and I don't want to stay like focused on what I do at the foundation, but people see these lineups and they're killer lineups. I guess they're great lineups. But because I don't really know them or listen to them, I have no problem working from open to close and not leaving that booth.
yeah,
I don't care. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'll see the headliner. I know who that is. And I'm sure I'm missing out on a ton of music. Um, but I think if it was all my favorite bands, it wouldn't be as hard. It wouldn't be hard, but it would be more oof,
yeah,
somebody cover for a couple hours. I want to go see, and I don't do that for the most part. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's lots of great, great music out there. For sure.
like
I'm
what's your
never going to be
go-to?
like a diehard
Or-
you're never going to see me crowd surf. Like
right.
I'm never going to be that guy. I'll be at a rail on the hippie show to get us peddlers, but I'm never going to be I'm not trying to, it's not, I'm in the back. I know my lane. Um, I love it. And I think the metal community is phenomenal. They're the kindest, most community centric group of people I've ever been around. I would be around music people in front of rather than country music any day of the week.
Yeah,
Um, as far as fans go. And
right.
if you like both, you're all right with me. I'm just saying.
Well, what's your go-to? Like, say you get in your car right now, what is likely to be on? What type of music?
Well, in my car right now, I've been trying to get a head start on the January resolution. So you're probably gonna have a Rocky 4 soundtrack in my car right now because
Okay.
I'm going back and forth. Yeah, I'm that guy. Um, I like a lot of stuff. I love Jack White. Uh, I'm a Fish girl. I like Fish.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm super excited I'll be honest, I'm super excited for Guns N' Roses at Rockville. That is the one show I'm like super excited for. I've never seen them. I have a thing. I dress up as Slash. I've got the whole costume. It's great. I won't do it at the show, but um, I don't know. I kind of like everything. I like a lot of things. I just play like, random stuff, just shuffles. All of it.
Fish is
Just
something I
not
was
all
like
of it.
just never on my radar. But a couple of my friends that are like really big Fish fans talked me into going to their shows in Denver that they do every Labor Day. Uh,
Uh,
this has been like 12, 13 years ago now, but it was a pretty amazing experience seeing that live 3 nights in a row.
it's and you nailed it. That's the word. It's
Yeah.
it's the experience. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to be a Fish fan, but the experience of that, it's like Tool. I will put Tool in my top three concerts ever all day long. And I'm not a diehard Tool fan. I do like that I don't have a line to go to the bathroom because I think I'm the only woman in the place, but it,
Right.
it, they to me are like phenomenal. And it's the experience. I don't have to know their songs. And I mean, I do, but I don't have to. It's the experience of it. It's like they're their own genre of music.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um,
Yeah. It's one
and
of
I'm
those
kind of
things
at
that,
that point in my life, I want all the experiences.
yeah, that's how I feel as well. I guess kind of a final question to kind of wrap it up. Like if someone is just listening to this or they're a fan of Slipknot or Stone Sour or something, and like, yeah, I'd love to help. Would they just go to the website and donate money that way? Or do you guys accept money and disperse it out to organizations? Or how do you guys do that?
Yeah, so I mean, we definitely rely on donations. Corey donates. We've done a lot of cool contests and things in the past, but donations are mission critical. You can donate on our website. Like I said, it's wearettf.org. And what I love, and Corey came up with that because, well, somebody had already taken the Taylor Foundation for some other kind of Taylor Foundation, which is fine. But wearettf.org, like we are TTF, that's our hashtag. And we push that because it's all about we are. It's all of us. It's all the groups. It's all the networks. It's all the people. It's you. It's everybody kind of speaking up and killing the stigma. But yeah, we are ttf.org /donate. There's a page there that we accept donations. Always looking for sponsors would be great. But really, I think a great way that people can help is spread the word. Follow us on socials. If you see, do buddy chats. If there's somebody that is struggling, can you send them a message and be like, hey, buddy, check, are you all right? Like, you want to talk? If somebody wants to talk, give them 5 minutes, and actually listen and like really listen. Be a good person. Be supportive. If you know of organizations out there that we should know about, let us know. We'd love to get them on our website and get out there. And word of mouth is your biggest advertiser. If you've had an impactful experience with us or any organization that we've kind of sent your way, we'd love to kind of hear that and stay in touch. And we just want everybody to kind of stay alive and and get the help because the help is out there and the struggle's hard, but in the struggle you find your strength. You do. So yeah, check us out. Follow us on socials. That's the best way to stay up to date with what we've got going on.
Right on. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time with me today to talk a bit about this and find out some more about you as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope it's what you were looking for, or
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Just
it's
looking to talk about
impactful.
it and find out what you guys do and everything. So, yeah, it's been great.
It has been great.
There you go, Mary of the Taylor Foundation. A massive thank you to Chris Kopp for his initial introduction of introducing me to Mary at Louder Than Life this year in September. And of course, a massive, massive thank you to Mary for taking some time out there to hit me up on Zoom. Recently, the week before Thanksgiving is when we recorded this, so I'm glad to get this out here for you. Moving into December. So if this is your first time listening and you joined because you know Mary or because you're a fan of Corey Taylor or you just stumbled on this for any other reason, a huge thank you. There's 440 episodes previous to this you can check out. You can follow us on all the socials. TheThunderUnderground.com is the website. You can listen to the podcast right there. But you can also listen pretty much anywhere podcasts are heard, whether that be Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, etc., etc. So wherever you're listening right now, hit follow, like, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And speaking of future episodes, the next episode will be episode 442. And back about 30 years ago, Anthrax put out an album called Stomp 442. And it just so coincides that my guest on episode 442 will be the man that sang on Stomp 442. John Bush will be here talking all about his time with Anthrax, because he has these 3 shows coming up in December where he's performing the songs of Anthrax, as well as performing with Category 7 as well. And of course, he's got new music coming from Armored Saint. So tons of awesome stuff to talk about John Bush coming up. Also got Mike Leon. He is the bass player for CKY. He's a longtime bass player for Soulfly and Cavalera. He's been in Havoc as well. We're going to talk about all that stuff as well coming up with Mike. So yeah, be on the lookout for those. Follow on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. There is daily content, sometimes multiple times a day, that I put out that is separate from these podcast episodes. So if you hit up those socials, you'll likely see some clips of Mary from this episode, as well as clips from other episodes. But on a daily basis, you'll also see news stories, anniversaries of albums that came out 20, 30, 40 years ago. Interesting crap. Everything in between. So following all those. And like I said as well, 440 episodes previous to this. If you're a fan of hard rock and metal, which I assume you are, if you're still listening at this point, 40, 50 minutes into this podcast. Previous guests include members of Hellstorm, Breaking Benjamin, Shinedown, Skillet, Def Leppard, Whitesnake, Kiss, Guns N' Roses, Tesla, Motley Crue, Saliva, Seven Dust, Corrosion Conformity, Clutch, Living Color, Leonard Skinner, Helmet, Prong, White Zombie, Typo Negative, Megadeth, Testament. And holy shit, my friends, if you have not heard Testament's newest album that came out last month, or maybe it's 2 months ago now, called Parabellum, this is a contender for Album of the Year, and I'm not exaggerating. This is one of the best metal albums of 2025. You need to check that out. But yeah, Alex Skolnick of Testament was on this podcast a few years ago, as well as members of Buck Cherry, Great White, Three Doors Down, Grand Funk Railroad, Deep Purple, The Black Dahlia Murder, Journey. You like that? I threw those back to back. See, that's kind of I feel like that right there is kind of a good indication of the past 10 and a half years of this podcast. From Journey to The Black Dahlia Murder. So if you like hard rock, classic rock, heavy metal, we've got you covered throughout the years. All right. Once again, a massive thank you to Mary. A huge thank you to DEB Concerts and Sunset Tattoo. And yeah, be on the lookout for this episode with John Bush. He's my favorite heavy metal singer of all time, so I'm super stoked about that one. And again, check out wearettf.org. It's that time of the year. People are more giving, right? Because it's the holiday season. So if you're thinking about giving and you're looking for a place and you're not sure exactly where you want to give, hit that up, wearettf.org, and I'm sure they would be very happy to include your support. Once again, thank you to Mary for taking that time out to talk to me about the Taylor Foundation, and until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.